and he got chucked out of the National Film Theatre for singing an old Harry Champion song called "The End of Me Old Cigar." I don't know quite what he did. I haven't understood all the words on this old record, but apparently he did something with his old cigar when the elephant was getting a bit close to him. Anyway, the people at the National Film Theatre thought he was drunk and vulgar and threw him out. That's all there is really to say about that. Because one spends so much time lighting the sodding things, there's never any ingestion of tobacco at all. I found the French unable to deal with cigars. They would, having cut them in a restaurant for a customer, they would then offer him a candle from which to light it. You shouldn't even use a lighter. You should use, if you have cigars in tubes, you should tear up the cedar wood strip which is in the tube into spills, light the spills from a match and the cigar from the spill, so that you do not taint the flavour with sulphur from the match. If matches are made with sulphur still, who knows, in this synthetic world. Even the things which taint cigars may not be what they once were.
Do you feel like you're that disconnected from today?
No, actually I think I'm more connected than I may appear. But
I think so as well.
one can just... You go through the artifice of the theatrical performance of lighting and cutting a cigar, better the other way round, cutting and lighting a cigar, without any understanding of why it was ever done like that. And it's important to know why. Really? I think. It's why no whistling is allowed backstage on the stage of a theatre. Because in the olden days, the cue to let in a new scene from above was a whistle. All you need was something, and all the scenes would change in a moment's notice, knocking people on the head. That no longer happens, but the thing persists, like any quotation from the Shakespeare play set in Scotland is supposed to be unlucky, and so you have to go outside and turn round 3 times and ask to be let back in. If you're that good an actor, they will. If you're not, they'll let you stand outside for the rest of the evening. Funny things like that. You know why people who tear tickets are called check takers? Do you know why? No, and why should you? Because it's of no consequence. In the early days of cinema, in fact the Duke of York's, when Peter Joubert still ran it, issued metal cheques and not tickets. There was a machine which counted the number of metal cheques issued, and the attendant at the door of the circle collected these metal cheques, put them back on the bar, and they went back to the box office for reselling. They were called cheques. Theatre tickets for the pit and the gallery and all the rest of it were sold in the same way, so the people who took them were cheque takers. Easy peasy when you know how and why. Yeah. The nearest really anyone in the theatre of my family came to, before I jumped in with both feet and drowned rapidly, was someone, a busker, who entertained the gallery queue at the Finsbury Park Empire. That itself meant talent, because you have to know if it was going to be a busy night, whether it was worth turning up, and what time the queue would start to form, because the gallery was totally unreserved. You just paid as you went in. It's no good looking back saying, would you like to have lived then? Because for a working class family, it would have been utter crap. Wouldn't it? The idea seems romantic now, but it doesn't actually. It's tap dancing to a scratched gramophone record of Cleopatra's Nightmare to a queue outside the gallery door of the Finsbury Park Empire. One way to get into entertainment, I suppose.
That's how you did it.
Pretty similar. I was bored. I walked into the stage door of the theatre and said, "Any work going?" And they gave me a broom and said I could sweep the stage, and I just sort of stayed, really, after that. It was easy then to know nothing and come out of the profession 40 years later knowing as much as you went in with. Yeah. No one questioned the reason why we did things. We did them because that's how they were done.
Like with your cigar.
Yes, I mean, I do it. And none too successfully, as you will have noticed. But it just gives me something to do with my hands, really, doesn't it? Don't you think? I mean, it saves just waving them about in a vaguely continental fashion, which I have been known to do from time to time. What I try to keep is not to take myself very seriously. And I've still got to laugh at it, you know. Look in the mirror at night and have a fucking good laugh. How could anyone intentionally look like this? But I work at it, you know. There's not a hair out of place, really. So you can't become so immersed. Although I will say, I mean, I do sound deep and enthusiastic sometimes about my subject. But in a way, that's playing a part, isn't it? Like all life is. You do what people expect of you. So you do it. In the end, you probably believe it, but that isn't the reason you started doing it, necessarily. You look disappointed that you thought I believed everything I said, didn't you?
No.
Life is an illusion.
I was just
Es
thinking
ist alles scheinbar.
I was just thinking of Macbeth, you know, and the tomorrow.
Now you've got to go outside. You've got to have a spoonful of salt.
Do you know, I worked at the Globe Theatre, and I said...
When Rylance was there.
Not when Rylance was there, no. When Dominic John Gall was there.
Well, he was okay. It's this fucking woman they've got now who doesn't see why everything should be in an Elizabethan costume. She doesn't quite get the idea.
Her eyes, yeah. I said Macbeth in the theatre department behind stage, and no one really did anything. It just got frowned at. But there was a moment of...
I put my foot in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met O'Toole once. I was working on this paper, the South London Advertiser, and the National was opening at the Old Vic. So I thought, hey, yeah, we can do a centre spread on that. And I went with our photographer, the Advertiser lens man, as we used to say, and were waiting inside the stage door, and O'Toole was just so effing grand. Oh, what do you two boys want? Actually, we've come to do a feature on the theatre. Not me, no, on the theatre. There we are. Mingle with the mighty. Hasn't changed me a bit. Another friend of mine died not so long ago, called, well, his death wasn't called Bruce Lacey. The person who died was called Bruce Lacey. Have you ever heard of Bruce Lacey and the Alberts? This afternoon, Richard, your education will be expanded beyond the realms of human belief. I will show you a video of him.
Great.
When everyone was making Hello Dolly records, years ago, when Hello Dolly was the show, they made a Goodbye Dolly record. They also, with their first record called Sleepy Valley, appeared on Top of the Pops. No one knew there were these people to see the latest hits. And they didn't know, they were all trying to dance to it. I'll play and you will see the dilemma they found themselves in. He was great, Bruce. I used to go round his place after school. He was a great inventor of automaton, and had a whole Mayfair gallery devoted to his robotic works, and also the works of his robots. He was. I first got very interested in ancient gramophone records round at his place. And Monitor, which was a BBC Two arts programme in the olden days, did a whole feature on him, and he played a cylinder of a song called When Other Lips, which is from an opera by Balfe, sung by a man called Tom, whatever. And he said, and there is this song called Remember Me, sung by someone who is completely forgotten. And then they had a letter at the BBC from the man who had been this artist's butler. It was just opposite, wasn't it? Don't you think? Quite fun, yeah. I used to lug my enormous 4-track tape recorder round to his house to spend an evening getting quietly drunk, playing and re-recording old records. Because cylinders always have an announcement at the beginning, because they came in a box. But think of a cylinder. Where do you stick the label? There isn't anywhere to stick the label except on the box, and then you get misplaced. So something like Arthur Leonard singing Skylark would have Mr. Arthur Leonard sings his popular song Skylark, Edison Bell Records, and then it would start. They all had announcements. And this record of When Other Lips starts, favourite ballad of When Other Lips. And of course, I talk about When Other Lips, it's called Remember Me, really. But it starts When Other Lips. When other lips and other hearts their tales of love shall tell, in moments whose excess imparts the power they feel so well. They may perhaps in such a scene some recollection ask. In such a moment I but ask that you'll remember me. Tearful stuff, really, even sung the way I do it. Oh, and I found a record for my funeral.
Oh, yeah.
It's something, remember me with a smile, or smile when you remember me, or something. Yeah.
Who's it by?
I don't know, somewhere. And also, I thought, rather than go down into the depths of the fire, I actually want the flames to come up and consume the coffin as the organ plays this march by Holtzman called Blaze Away, and friends like Toby Shepherd had all been invited to come and light cigars from the flames. Yes, well, so much for burning in hell.
Are you saying start as you mean to go on?
What, in hell? I don't like the cold, do you? I mean, well, I don't think there is such a place. Hell, if there is, believe me, Richard, hell is what we must live through on earth. When we die, it can only be heaven, because there isn't anywhere you go to, really. You must... It's an old custom from a race I won't go on about, that you pay a bill the day it comes in. That was the thing, always, because you can't do it afterwards. You have to settle your debts before you die. I've no intention of doing that. There'll be nothing for anyone. The tax man cometh. Yes. Is there anybody there? Cried the tax man as he knocked 3 times on the door.
No, go away.
No, fuck off. No one in. That's because I was trying to do some chocolate business with Mother Russia, and I'd been given the number of the embassy by someone at Bush House when it was the home of the World Service. And I phoned the number, and this person just answered the phone and said, "There is no one in." Which is what the people at the Polish Dudar said. Yes, you're welcome any time. Some days you will find the door closed. Gielgud tried to chat up and get off with me once. I'm pleased I said no.
Why is that?
Why is that? Well, I don't think it would have been very nice. He was very old. Yeah, I was managing the Arts Theatre at the time, and although we were closed and I was just locking the door. He wanted to use the Is there a phone here? Yes, Sir John. Will you show me where it is? I can't quite see. I don't seem to be able to get my finger in the... Yes, well, that was enough of that. Now, what do you want first? Crappy English acting, most of which you've endured through the day, or Sleepy Valley?
Crappy English acting.
I thought I'd finished, so we'll find crappy English acting.
Is it alright if I perch on this chair?
Do, look, you can scoop some of the stuff up and put it on the floor. There is nothing valuable. Please don't sit on the nail clippers. I was going to tidy it up, actually, but I ran out of enthusiasm. I wouldn't be able to find a thing. This is very good, this. I mean, don't you find it so stimulating, this dark screen? Slaughter.
Do you ever watch films on your laptop?
No. I sometimes see television programmes on iPlayer. Or I may look at bits of film. I have this aversion on YouTube to seeing it full screen, something which irritates Blue. But I almost like to be reminded of that it isn't really there and there are other things to click on all the way around. I would deceive myself into thinking I was actually in a kinema sitting this close to a cinema screen. Go on then, do it. I can't stand these things, see, because I'm so used to a mouse that this wanders all over the place when I'm writing letters. No, it's not Facebook, of course, is it? It's YouTube. Todd Slaughter, let's see if anything comes up. Oh, let's see full movies. We don't have to look at the whole movie. Where's Mariah Martin? Look at home. Murder at the Grange. Mariah Martin. Well, that doesn't seem to be. Oh, it's such a shame. Because that really is the epitome of crap. Oh, here we are. Is this the... Oh no, that's a trail of a murder in the Red Barn. Oh, perhaps it isn't. It'll go.
Sit round here.
Recorded on visor tone. Must have been early sound variable density. Not. Yes. Right, well, you can see why people don't go and see those anymore. Bruce Seaton, later in his life, became a Scotland Yard detective in a bit, Fabian of the Yard in 1950s television. So there. God, we hadn't really got much technique. So Bruce Lacey was filmed by Ken Russell. He was trying to fly as a birdman. Spare part art, which is what he did with his automata. Bruce Lacey and the Alberts. Or not. Flying Alberts, Bruce Lacey. Oh, all right, we'll have to put up with this one. This is the record that made Top of the Pops.
Everybody loves a fireside, a picture sitting by a fireside in a cozy little home.
There.
You can
Why would ever that have got on Top of the Pops?
There is a place called Sleepy Valley. Let's go
Down
down
to Sleepy Valley, angels built this little spot where we built our little plot. Just a cozy rest, sweet and heaven blessed, like a bluebird's nest in Sleepy Valley. Love is everywhere, happiness is there, love beyond compare in Sleepy Valley. All of my troubles, cares of the day, like silver bubbles floating away. Round the door, babies on the floor, who could ask for more in Sleepy Valley? Sorry, it's stopped now. I'm sorry if you're enjoying that. Oh, Mossel. It's actually called Yossel. But it's a klezmer version of a song from a German operetta called Victoria and Her Hussar. I'm told by an uncle of mine that if anyone wanted any member of our family and went to the top of the street and called out Yossel, lots of ginger-haired boys appeared. Means Joseph.
Right.
What you doing, Blue?
Plugging in my phone.
There was a song years ago called Shrimp Boats, which my mother liked, and so she bought one, only she didn't look at the cover properly, and it was actually a song called Herring Boats, by a man called Mickey Katz, who did parodies of popular songs, but in Yiddish. So she didn't get it at all, but it was my introduction to klezmer, so I've enjoyed it ever since. Things like Hernando's Hideaway, he recorded as Hernando's Kocherlein, which was like a Yiddish boarding house where you cooked your own food. So Kocherlein, cook alone, is what it was. And also That's Amore became, if you see him walk down the street with some schmaltz on his vest, that's a Morris. That is what that became. But neither here nor there. Let's find something of more general interest. Because this can be boring old crap, really. So we won't have the red flag. Oh, yes, there is some. I've discovered the shimmy, which was a popular dance in the olden days, and so let's put Edith Lorand in and see what happens.
What are the olden days to you?
Day before yesterday, really. No, I don't know. Anything that
It's
isn't
just a
now.
funny term, isn't it?
The olden days. Yes. In days of old, when knights were bold. In days of old, where a glimpse of stocking was reckoned as something shocking, but anything goes, isn't it? Yes. It's all. Doesn't matter. Nothing. But I enjoy this. What I like about older records is that they have melody, which I think is missing now. And of course, like most of us alto cuckers, I really am nostalgic for days I never knew. And I think that was possible with recreating the weekly repertory. I was busy recreating someone else's past, you know. This is a sad thing. Because there seemed glory in the past. Because one doesn't get much now. Perhaps. So this is the shimmy. It's acoustic recording, so you probably won't like it. I like the sound of acoustic records. And the only percussion seems to be a wood block. Step, I suppose. And this we could dedicate to Blue, say it with a ukulele. Except I think the words are in German, so there's no point in it. I must show you a bit of music hall. There's, like some of these old records, the artists from the music hall who made them were in their 70s and 80s when they recorded them. So you never quite get the liveliness they had when they were younger. But Lily Morris is good. Fun. Oh, and have you ever heard of Wilson, Keppel and Betty? There's a joy. This was dedicated to you, Blue. It's called Say It With a Ukulele.
Ah, lovely.
Well, we've heard enough of that. Lily Morris. Why am I always the bridesmaid?
Yes.
You've only got to see it to realise why. Oh, come on, Moshe. A lot of these clips survive because they were part of Pathé early talking shorts. So they do now. There's a very offensive one. There's a comedian. And he's billed in the titles as Millions have heard him on radio. Now you can see the famous Hebrew comedian. Obviously that was all right in the 30s. Living for other girls, but one fine day. Oh, let it be soon. I shall wake up.
in the morning on my own honeymoon. I had a good chance a week or two back. Took my young man home to tea. Mother got playful and gave him a pinch. Yes, pinch my finances for me. Being a widow, she knew what to do. No use for me to complain. When they got married today, if you please, I was down with a bridesmaid again. Running my own way to God, but never was here. Ding dong, wedding, only me by a I shall wake up in the morning on my own honeymoon.
There you are.
Perhaps we shall never
Well,
again see
no,
it.
we'll never again see it because it's crap. No, I don't want to share. Fuck off. Go away. I don't understand all these signs. I've never seen them before. But we'll find Wilson, Catlin better. Because you just won't believe that this act toured. Then I think you probably will have had enough of this crap. One.
You ever had a Turkish man serve you coffee?
No. Do you think I could learn from the experience?
They tell you a fortune.
Fortune, Richard, is one thing I will never have. Oh, this is Jimmy Perry, who I used to know, till he died, of course. That's it. That's what we do. Get the band. I like the sound of the pit band.
Yeah.
Some American posted a comment like, is that actually a snare, is it a snare drum or is it actual sand they're dancing on? There's all the fucking foot mics picking it up. Change of tempo now as it builds up to the big climax. It was clever, really. That's it. Harry Worth, who was a TV comic a few years ago, told me once he was on a bill with an act called Fun in a Wigwam. And people used to come and wonder what it was, and the curtains would open, and there'd be this wigwam on stage, and two women came out dressed as Indian squaws, and then did a juggling act, and then they got back in the wigwam. And that was the end of the act. Yes, we knew how to con them, and we're still doing it. What I want to try to find is the video of... Has Blue shown you the video of me at the Theatre at Crewe?
He might have done.
Just as out of step with everything then.
I watched a video. I watched a video with you in it.
Oh, was that
Blue sent me.
the Rex or was it East Finchley? Or was it the last film?
I always thought it was the Rex East Finchley.
The wreck.
The Wreck.
Yeah. I suppose you must. I'll find this photograph of great uncle Nazi man.
Great Uncle Nazi Man.
Oh, someone sent me a message. Oh, dear. Mark, we had a date for Tuesday, but something has cropped up. Stephen. Photos.
That
Right.
bird song is really lovely, isn't
Isn't it? Even at 2:30 in the morning.
it?
Here's the Catlin's shop trade card. It's me. Everyone knows Catlin's with a hammer and sickle and a price gun on the back of it.
Catlin's is regarded as somewhat of an institution these days.
Well, I was talking to Chico Shankland yesterday, and he said he was talking to Anthony, who runs the Riverside,
Yeah.
and they agreed there was no one who is now of that age who didn't know Catlin's, who didn't come in there. It's quite astonishing, really. Oh, and here's old man Catlin when he was about 16. Look at that. Which one's him? There, looking like Alfred E. Newman. This is someone who became a professor emeritus at the University of East Anglia in sociology, who, I don't know whether I can say this or not, but he was my schoolboy. We found photos of. Oh, do you remember a song which won the Eurovision contest called "Looking High, 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 Looking Low, Low, Low"? Sung by
Yeah.
Brian Johnson. Here he is. We just finished doing a pantomime engagement at the Liverpool Empire. Jimmy Harmon, who was the stage manager, and the Ugly Sister or something, and there's me. Look, Ginge. Absolutely Ginge, what's left there. So there was then. And oh, when it was the Queen's birthday, we got Network Rail sent something for the Queen's birthday 2 years ago, and it's still got the British Rail bloody logo on it. Can you imagine? That's probably why they sent it for nothing, but that was quite fun. Your photos, I think. Great Uncle Werner is in that. Yes, here he is. Werner, who died in Baden-Baden in the 60s. He won the Iron Cross First Class and the Knight's Cross in the Second World War and the Iron Cross Second Class in the First War. And he was a field doctor. There. There is, I'm pleased to say, no resemblance whatsoever.
I thought you came from Jewish descent.
German, Jewish. One reason we are not in Germany.
Right.
The Jew bit came later. It was oh, and I look really happy. That was great-grandfather married Maria Larendon, except he never married her, and that is where the Jew comes from. So at best, you see, we're only Mishkins. But this Johnny Evans, who lives in Seaford, so being only half the thing, what one suffers, in fact, Richard, is the worst excesses of Protestantism and Judaism shoved on one at the same time. It was an unfortunate thing of history. But there you are. And certainly, I don't mind either origin really. The family for years denied the German and tried to make out we were Dutch, but we weren't. And quite funny, really. They praised the Jewish side more than the German, and it may seem odd now